Welcome to KidMissing TV. This is our second episode. This episode is entitled Mystery in Connecticut. Several young ladies and little girls have been either abducted or murdered in a small area of the state of Connecticut, comprising Tolan and Hartford counties. Small towns in Tolan and Hartford counties, I should say. The first little girl that was taken was Deborah Spickler. She was from Mystic, which is on the ocean, but she was in Vernon visiting her aunt for the summer, and she went to walk to the pool in Henry Park. She was taken somewhere along the way. The day that she vanished, her mother received a birthday card from her daughter saying that she was being behaved and she was helping her aunt. And that was the last word received from her, ever. No one knows what happened to her. She was 14 years old. The second little girl that disappeared is a little more well-known case in the area. She disappeared from Toland, which is right next to Vernon. It's also the name of the county. She was abducted, Janice Pocket, on July 26, 1973. She was only 7 years old. Her family lived near Route 84, which at that time was Route 86. Shortly thereafter, Route 84 was put through there. She went down a dirt road off of the road that she lived on to retrieve a butterfly and to put it in an envelope that she had with her. I don't know whether she made it to the butterfly or not, because it's never been said. I do know that the envelope wasn't recovered. Her bike, however, was recovered at the rock. It was leaning on the rock. I had the privilege of interviewing her sister, Mary Pocket Engelbrecht, on KidMissing Radio, and I'd like you to listen to a clip of her experience from the day her sister vanished. It was quite a day.
My sister asked my mom, could I take my bike up the road and collect the butterfly that she had left up there. And a couple of days before, we had taken a family walk, and my sister found this butterfly. It was a yellow and black butterfly. It was dead, but it was in perfect shape, and she found it on the side of the road, and for whatever reason, she couldn't carry it home. I remember she was riding her bike, I was walking, my mother had holding my hand, and the dog was with us, and so she had tucked it behind a rock on the side of the road. So she wanted to go back up the road and go get it. My mother said, go ahead, but come right back. And that was the last time that we saw her.
Welcome back. I am going to play you another clip momentarily. Her sister speaks about her website, her search for her sister, and in this clip she will speak about a bench that was dedicated to Janice in Toland on July 26th, the 40th anniversary of Janice's disappearance.
I want to mention that the town of Toland is putting a memorial bench for my sister at one of the parks in Toland, so at the Cross Recreational Complex in Toland, and it's actually off of Rose Road, which is right down the road from where my sister disappeared. And they're putting a bench there this summer, and they're going to be having a dedication ceremony on July 26th, which is the 40th anniversary of her disappearance. So I just want to put a plug in for that the public is welcome. So we'd love to have as many people there as possible. And thank you to everyone out there who donated to the bench. I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm happy that the town is remembering her in this way.
The next child to disappear was Lisa Joy White. Lisa was 14 years old on November 1st, 1974, when she disappeared from Rockville, which is part of Vernon. The town is called Vernon/Rockville. Why they did that, I have no idea. That's what the town is called. But she was in the Rockville section, and she was walking home from a friend's house. Kids do that every day. Shouldn't be a problem. And she's never been seen again. There's no clues in her case whatsoever. The fourth little girl was murdered in East Windsor, Connecticut. East Windsor is a town I know well. All of these towns are very country, rural towns. You have a choice, the textile mills or the tobacco farms. That's pretty much where people made their living back then. The next little girl, as I said, disappeared, or actually was murdered in East Windsor. Her name was Stephanie Oliski. Her murder happened on July 21st, 1975. She was found on the side of Route 5, which is South Main Street in East Windsor, with severe head trauma. Several days later, in early August, she succumbed to those injuries. Police reopened her case in 1998 and even questioned her sister. Her sister refuses to talk to police, which stunned them almost as much as the case stunned the community in the beginning. The officer has said, and I believe, he said, "This is too small a town for somebody not to know something. Somebody knows something." And as I said, I completely agree with the officer on that. Like I said, I know the town well. It's where my father's whole family is from. The next little girl was also killed. Her name was Dawn Peterson. She was murdered in Windham, Connecticut. Windham, Connecticut is in the northern part of Connecticut, on the Massachusetts border, but not that far from Vernon, on March 26, 1976. There really aren't any other details of her case that I could find in my research, unfortunately. Before I go on to the next case, I'd like to tell you that both the case of Lisa Joy White and the case of Janice Pocket were recently showcased on a show called Dark Minds on Investigation Discovery. The title of that show, of that episode, was Blue-Eyed, Blonde, and Gone. The host of that show is renowned Connecticut-based investigative reporter and true crime author M. William Phelps, who you may also know from Deadly Women. He went to school with Lisa Joy White's younger sister and made a deathbed promise to Lisa's mother that he would investigate her case and try to get to the bottom of it. And as part of that promise, he featured the case on his show. So if you want to know more, definitely check that out. The last case actually ties in with Lisa Joy White. Her name was Patricia Patty Luce. She was abducted from Vernon on July 18, 1978. The reason it ties in with Lisa Joy White is because they were on the same cheering squad a few years before Lisa vanished and Patty was taken and ultimately killed. I have a picture, it's right up here, of the two of them. Each of them are marked in the same cheering squad. I don't believe in coincidences like that, folks. Patty was taken and her remains were found in the woods a few years later in Marlborough, Massachusetts. That's a good ways. In fact, according to my research, it's about an hour and 5-minute drive, or 68.2 miles approximately. That's a long way to go with a corpse, and that's a long way to go with a living victim. A lot of chance of major issues, like somebody trying to escape, or being caught, as that's all highway driving. I just wanted to give you, so you understand statistics a little bit and what the prevalence is of missing children, because we hear so much about it because we have instant TV and we think there's more now, but there really isn't. So I wanted to give you some numbers. The U.S. Department of Justice says, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children report there are about 800,000 children younger than the age of 18 reported missing in the United States each year. An average of 2,185 per day. That's a horrifying number. Just over 500,000 are considered to be runaways and other non-nefarious reasons, while more than 200,000 children are abducted by family members. The Department of Justice claims more than 58,000 children are abducted by non-family members, yet only 115 of those children are the victims of stereotypical kidnappings. What that means, I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you. Or crimes that involve someone the child does not know, or a slight acquaintance that holds the child overnight, transports the child 50 miles or more, kills the child, demands ransom, or intends to keep the child permanently. So that's just to give you an idea. What I'd like to do now is update a case that we brought you last time. And rather than go back through the entire case, in case you didn't see the last show, what I'd like to do is show you a quick clip of me from the last show telling you about this case. Jamie Lusher Jr. Jamie is a handicapped little boy that disappeared on November 6, 1992 from Westfield, Massachusetts. He was a special ed student in Westfield. He had the mental capacity of a 12-year-old. Supposedly 2 days after he disappeared, a server at a friendly's restaurant in the town claimed to have seen him there. A hunter discovered his bicycle several days later on November 11th in the woods. Authorities drained the pond, which was in that wooded area, and didn't come up with any further clues in the case. Okay, now that we're back and you know a little bit about Jamie, I will tell you that notorious child serial killer Louis Lent Jr. has confessed to taking Jamie's life and putting him in Greenwater Pond in Beckett, Massachusetts, which is the next town from Lee, Mass., which is basically the next town from New York State. Jamie's father said that Len unwittingly put him in a place that Jamie would have loved. Jamie's father said also that he now feels confident that that's where his son is, and he can go there to talk to his son, because they still have not recovered his remains yet. Police have said that they are not giving up. They need to take a break, because 14 Massachusetts and New York State police divers are a lot of people to have working for a long period of time on one case, sadly. I added that part. They, excuse me, and it is an 88-acre pond, so 3 days is not enough time to find a body, but that's all the time that they had at that point. The pond is located between the Massachusetts Turnpike and Route 20, just over the town line from Lee, as a matter of fact. Sadly, his father also said, now when I drive down the Mass Pike, I can blow a kiss. That just broke my loving heart. The last thing that I'd like to do is we had an officer on last time who gave some tips and who talked about how to keep your children safe. Well, I actually wrote some tips also. And my tips are based on what I learned when I was growing up, and also from a video that I saw when I was growing up that all video stores had to rent for free. They could not charge for it. It was a video that taught kids how to be safe in a fun way that wasn't scary. It was hosted by Henry Winkler, who went back and forth between Henry and the Fonts. That was a lot of fun for us, but for people like the young lady sitting over here, probably have no idea who that is. But it was fun for us and taught us things like the buddy system. It taught us about we have the right not to be touched in certain parts we don't want to be touched. We have the right to say no. You know, so many kids are taught absolutely respect adults, don't do anything. Well, if an adult's grabbing you, you kick, scream, scratch, bite, do whatever you gotta do. You know, screw the respect. And that's what kids have to know. They have to know that it's okay to say no to an adult who may mean them harm. You know, because kids don't want to say no, they want to please. And it's important they understand that, and my mother always told me that. And also, if you yell, "This is not my mommy, this is not my daddy," that works. A little boy in Washington State actually was grabbed by child serial killer Wesley Allen Dodd, who had already killed 2 brothers and had killed another child also. He grabbed this little boy in a movie theater and had horrible plans for him as well. The child yelled, "This is not my daddy, you're not my daddy, let me go," and was kicking. And someone heard him. His stepfather was told. His stepfather loved him as his own. Stepfather ran down the street, grabbed the kid, grabbed Dodd, brought Dodd back, flung him onto the floor of the theater lobby. When the police got there, Dodd was just kind of sitting there, and they were able to apprehend a child killer, and he was later hung in the Washington State Prison. It was his choice of execution. Why he would choose that, I don't know. Some of the lures that these guys use that kids need to know are lost pets. They're sent by mom or dad is hurt. Again, that's where the password that we talked about last time comes in. Also, one good thing that you can do for your kids is get them a cheap little personal alarm. They have some that come apart and they make an ungodly noise when they come apart, or when the kid can press a button and again make an ungodly noise, get somebody's attention, that's for sure. If someone asks for directions, stay more than an arm's length away from the car, please. And if you're a child, you shouldn't be given directions anyway. If you're a teenager, just remember how far to stay away, because you don't want to be within their reaching distance. You really don't. I prefer to be across the street if I can help it. But I saw a movie called The Deliberate Stranger, which was about Ted Bundy, and it scared the bejesus out of me. So as far as that goes, that's where I got the idea to stay more than an arm's length. If a person they don't know offers them food, candy, a drink, or other gifts, don't take it. Especially food, candy, or drink, because they can drug it. You know, a child wouldn't think of that. You know, they wouldn't think somebody's gonna, you know, put something in there that's gonna make them go to sleep. You know, but they could. Now, for more information on any of these cases, you can go to Janice Pocket's sister's Facebook page for Janice. I'm not going to give you the whole address because it's too darn long. But it will be at the end of this program. You can also find it clickable at the bottom if you're watching this on YouTube. You can go to my blog, genkidjericho.blogspot.com. That's GENKIDJERICHO.blogspot.com. You can, again, check out Dark Minds, Season 2, Episode 2, Blue-Eyed Blonde and Gone. Also go to my website, where you can get to my message board, www.kidmissing.org. My dream came true to have my own domain for my website, thanks to my producer. I'd like to thank him. I'd like to thank all of you for listening and actually for watching. I'm so used to doing the radio. And good night, and God bless you.